So we have an incredible privilege of having this panel here. One of our panelists has flown in from New York, another one from LA, and then I have some local friends here. I think you can see that in trying to get these experts from the industry, what we're trying to do is to signify the key point that there is no longer a difference, a boundary between technology and product. We've got Katherine from Google, who handles VC and PE partnerships at Google. You've got Karla, who's the former MD of Deloitte, sits on several boards, was on the board of Fenty Savage, deep knowledge of the luxury fashion industry, and is also a GP at a fund. Dan, you and I go way back. So Dan's the founder of Bolt Threads and CEO, doing some incredible work in the biotechnology space for both fashion and beauty. Nyakio, pleasure to have you here. She's the founder of 13 Loon. And Marco is the CEO of Americas for Marcolin. And Marcolin, for the benefit of the audience, is a famous Italian fashion brand for eyewear. I have a question for each of the panelists, starting with Katherine. So visual search, where Lens is taking off. What conversion lift are you seeing for cosmetic brands that integrate shade match and AR try-on, if any? And how might Italian houses offer this as a differentiation?
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be here. Before I hop into that, I want to give due deference and just take a moment to really acknowledge all of the incredible startups, SMEs that we have today. Can we have a round of applause for them, actually? Thank you. I know they're in the wings right now, probably getting a little nervous. It is so intimidating when you are starting a business to put yourself out there. It takes so much courage to be an entrepreneur, first and foremost, to come to a different country, to try and convince people to bet on your vision. And so I wanted to start out with that before hopping into the questions. Yeah, of course. Of course. I'm nervous myself, and this is my whole career. So to the question at hand, a little bit of context here. I work at Google, thank you, Jalaj, as a venture capital and private equity partner manager. So what does that actually mean in context? It means that I work with their portfolio companies, very similar to the incredible companies that we have here today, to help them with their growth strategy. So a lot of times that's very tactical. What products can I use at Google? How do I adjust my market, et cetera, et cetera? And I think that we are in one of the most revolutionary times for SMB specifically because of AI, right? AI has leveled the playing field. When I think about the products that Google is offering, Jalaj just mentioned visual search. I'm thinking of things like AR try-on, et cetera, et cetera. I think that Google has a perspective of how can we create technology that is making things more accessible and more efficient, right? And so when I think about that from a personal perspective, that allows me to put myself really in a way that like engages in a way that we've never known before with these products. These technologies are available to essentially everyone, right? Like you as an SMB, in principle, right? Maybe not so much in practice, but in principle, in theory, at the very least, have access to these tools in the same way that legacy brands do, right? So by you engaging with these, you have the capacity to form these individual relationships with your potential consumers. And I think we're gonna see a lot of that tonight. So just beyond excited about this.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Next one for Karla. Boards are wrestling with AI ethics. For a lingerie disruptor like Savage Fenty, what governance safeguards have you put in place to ensure body diversity training data leads to truly inclusive fit recommendations?
So I'm going to zoom out a little bit to talk about boards in general, because they're in the risk mitigation business, right? So the board's job, besides government, is to make sure there's not a lot of risk. So to Catherine's point, AI is the most interesting thing that has happened, but it's wrong 2% of the time. And so boards live in that 2% of what are we going to do about that 2%, right? And so if you think about particularly brands, and I disagree with AK a little bit because there are a lot of surprises under lingerie sometimes. But I think what happens at all brands, we work together at Nike, we know at Savage, is that somebody has to watch it, right? Because it will default to doing things not as bad as Mega Hitler, but making bodies that are physiologically impossible, or turning a person that looks like Katherine into somebody who is a white woman, right? It generally will default toward a mean, and some of the feeding data defaults toward the mean that doesn't include people, right? So I think as a board, what we think about all the time is who are our consumer, stay grounded to the consumer, and look at the outputs and say, this isn't who we want to reach, right? And it happens a lot of times. Designers like to design on a 2. Most women in America are a size 10, right? And part of that is visually we think a 2 is cute and a 10 is not. And so a lot of what AI lets us do is to see that body inclusivity, but the board has to say, okay, that doesn't look like a real person, or we took a real person and you made her into another person, and that's not what our consumer wants to see. So I think there is a job of the board that they're wrestling with, is what happens in that 2% and how do we mitigate against this? And how do we have a management team that understands the 98% that's great and the 2% that we need to just flush out of the system?
Thank you. Beautifully put. Over to Dan now, the forever dreamer. If Spider Silk's acoustic properties rival Kevlar, could we see sonically tuned fashion, jackets that damp metro noise? What design collaborations would you love to pilot?
So a little background on this. I run a business founded on biotechnology to make the new materials of the future, and ostensibly focus on 2 things: sustainability, how we use our natural resources across the planet, but also what amazing new performance properties can we do from this exquisite innovator that we've got a scant 4 billion years of experience evolving and changing on this planet. And so we chase, so Spider Silk we've worked on, we've made fibers, you can buy beauty products today that use various silks in hair, skin, and color. Are there any little monsters in the room? You'll know it if you are. No? Yeah. So the B Structural Mascara, Sephora best-selling mascara the last 6 months, is powered by our technology. And it uses the silk as a film former to make better lash extensions. And that's House Labs by Lady Gaga. We've also made leather from mushrooms, mycelium. We've chased colors from coral reefs. We've made elastomers that bounce 99 meters back if you drop them from 100. And so we're constantly dreaming and chasing. And actually, I do a lot of dreaming, and then my team tells me I'm a moron, and those are never going to make money, and we have to stop. But what I always want to chase are things that break the mold for the sensory experience for what you expect. So you think about clothes, you think about touch, you think about feel, you think about visual. Can you change audio? I've actually chased this exact idea of audio with Bang & Olufsen. I've gone there and like tried to convince them like so many times, and every time I get shot down. But one day it's going to work, because you just the way to trigger the brain when you hit the sense that no one expects in an area. And I think the same thing with like fragrance and beauty is an amazing place to bring materials to. But these go on and on. So I dream about this all day, every day. Who knows if I'll ever make it real? My team will tell me I'm dumb and we need to make EBITDA or something like that. But
Thank you, Dan. I would have expected nothing less of you. Nyakio, you're a founder. Also connect to Italy in more ways than one.
I am. I'm not Italian, but my husband are children and my husband and children are half Kenyan and half Italian.
So Italian apothecaries have for centuries of botanical lore used various ingredients. Which Mediterranean ingredient excite you for future cross-cultural collabs? for
Gosh, so
13
many.
years?
Yeah, I'll give you a little background. I've been a beauty founder for 25 years. I'm a first-generation American of Kenyan descent. So the first business I ever started was based on recipes passed down to me by my grandfather, who was a medicine man, and my grandmother, who was a coffee farmer. And even though I was born here in the States, I was always deeply connected to global beauty and how can we help others feel more seen at shelf. And so now 13 Lune, a platform, an inclusive beauty platform that I created in 2020, so a business born out of the pandemic. I was really, really excited because it gave us all a moment in time to take a trip through the discovery of other cultures. And you know, our mission at 13 Lune is to be the destination for the discovery of global beauty brands, with 90% of our brands being culturally diverse founders. And so I love the Mediterranean. You know, what really excites me about the Mediterranean when it comes to ingredients is the idea of the luxury experience that those of us that have gotten to travel to the Mediterranean really get to return home and remember the lemons of Capri, the rosemary that smells so fresh on your food, the pomegranate in your cocktails. But then, because I'm a beauty nerd, I love ingredients like squalane, you know, that are sourced from the Mediterranean, but really are high performance ingredients that you can use in skincare, and especially now in really innovative ways to help with hydration and combat, you know, radical damage from the environment. And you know, I think just to take it a step further, I also have another skincare brand. So it was skincare brand and then retailer and still a founder of skincare, cosmetics, and fragrance. And so also just the sensory experience. And I think no matter where you are in the world, no matter what you're creating, leaning into global inspiration, your own personal story, telling the story of others to help others feel more seen, is something that really excites me. And so, yeah, there's a lot of great globally sourced ingredients within Relevant that come from the Mediterranean.
Thank you so much. Finally, over to Marco. So smart glasses promise a lot. Text, translation, haptics. What partnerships are Marco Lynn exploring to embed display tech without sacrificing the Italian design finesse?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I'm very happy. I'm Italian, as you understand, and I'm very happy to be here in this context with Italian startups, international crowd, and representing my company. As you mentioned, Jalaj, Marco Lynn, we manufacture glasses. The most important brand that we own and we represent is Tom Ford. And I spent majority of my career in the automotive business. And I recently joined Marco Lynn in January, and I then decided to make this big change, moving from automotive to a more fashion industry. And there were a few reasons. First, because I like challenges in general, and after 15 years, I thought was a good time to make a change. And the second one is because I think this industry has an unbelievable opportunity in front of us. The arrival of technology in something that is part of our everyday life, because many of you, as we can see, are using glasses for medical purposes. We need glasses. But on the other side, as Jalaj mentioned, and also Pradeep mentioned, glasses express today a lot, express your personality, express who you are. And the arrival of this technology is incredibly powerful. We already see in the market some examples, the Meta with Ray-Ban, with Oakley, and some other. We have Google here announcing some partnership. And Marcolin is working on the field. We are thinking how to look into the future through this product that I believe it can become the next very strong consumer product. If you think about the application that this technology can have on glasses, is incredible. You can see from a lifestyle point of view that you walk around, you ask, you talk with the AI, and you have answers in your ear. Nobody listens, it's just you. But sooner than later than what you think, you will have also images coming through your glasses. I could have been here and reading what I'm saying if I'm gonna use tomorrow's glasses. And this is here, it's not far. And on the other side, also from a medical perspective, if we think about people that have a certain medical condition, not a full blindness, but people that they suffer on some issues, you can ask and you can get what you want. You can be like in your room and asking, I want to put a red dress, and is this dress, even if your vision doesn't allow you to really see the color, and the AI and the glasses will tell you, yes, that's the dress that you have to pick, or no, that's the black one, take the other one on the right side. So we are all very excited, and I think there will be an incredible combination of tech coming in. All the big tech are coming, but also the design side, the Italian side, let me say. Out of the glasses are made mainly by 7 companies in the world, and the majority of them are Italian. So we're very happy and proud, because the design, how we manufacture this kind of product is extremely important, and and will remain extremely important also with the infusion of tech.
Thank you. Great insights and thoughts there, and can't wait to see what Marcolin comes out with in this space. Now, keeping in mind the time and our founders who are anxious to come and pitch, if you could, in a few sentences, share what multimodal, multisensory convergence means to you in your world. Is it total crap? Does it have any relevance? Is it a term that I've just dreamed up? Katherine?
Absolutely. Thank you. I approach this question both as a human, as an individual, and also from a professional perspective. As an individual, and I thought about this in the context of beauty and fashion, I am engaging with these things from my own perspective. It is highly cultural. It is highly personal. It is not one size fits all whatsoever. And then as a professional, the companies that I engage with, that I invest in, that I want to grow, are the companies that are enabling me to see myself in those beauty and fashion brands, right? The way that this in my mind relates to being multimodal via technology is in all of these technologies that we just mentioned. I am actually literally enabled to see myself in these ways in a way that I've never have before. And it's really not an understatement to say that it is revolutionary for a woman like me, for minorities, for historically underrepresented groups, to be able to literally see, literally experience themselves in ways that they have not been able to before, with brands that they have not been able to before. So when I think about what does multimodal, multisensory mean to me, it is inherently tied to access. I don't think it's, what did you say? What was your terminology? A load of rot, something like that. It's important. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go old school and take technology out of it and talk from a brand perspective. We're born with 5 senses, but by the time, to your point, when we get older, most brands market to maybe 2 of them, right? But if you look at the fastest growing and recession-proof categories, babies and pets, everything designed for them is 5 senses. Everything that a baby touches, baby clothes, you can put in your mouth. It has a smell. Like, it makes a sound. It's delightful to a baby. All dog toys squeak and they taste good and you can shake them around. And so it's not so much about technology, it's somehow brands that don't cater to those folks say there's only 2 things. Does it feel good or smell good? Does it look good or sound good, right? But I do think technology has a way, and you know, if you think like hotels are doing this now, they walk in, they've got a scent, they've got a soundtrack that goes, they give you a little piece of chocolate. It all looks the same everywhere, and you sort of like, oh, I'm in an addition, or you know, I'm in Hawaii. And so I think it's not so much technology, it's grounding in, you know, the things that we see delight pets and babies are actually, you know, the reason why those sectors grow faster every year.
Such a wonderful analogy. Thank you.
So we naturally sit in what I do at the intersection of how your senses work. The thing that's unique is that we're always making raw materials, and at the end of the day, most consumers don't actually care about raw materials unless they experience it in some novel way. And so we strive to embed as many of those as we can. The real partnership comes with the designer who's making the finished product, right? If it's eyewear, if it's a scent and you're working with a nose, if it's an architectural designer, and finding the way to get that marriage to work together of taking what usually works out to like numbers on a graph and then turn that into an experience is where the real magic happens in my world.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll come at it from a personal standpoint, and then sort of and the multimodal, like where we are today. So when I started my first brand 25 years ago, you know, beauty was a little late to the tech world. I mean, when you had a beauty brand, it was really unacceptable to have a website. You know, why would you need a website? You could just go to the store and see it. So everything about the creation of products for me in the beginning was about multisensory. How could you get somebody to smell your product, feel your product, use it, see the results from an exfoliator, et cetera. And then as I sort of grew in the business, had many stops and starts, so don't be afraid of failure. But I ultimately sold that first business to Unilever. And so by the time I got to Unilever in 2017, the world had changed. And it was sort of hard to sort of figure out, you know, the staying authentic to the creation and the process and how to sort of adopt technology. And then I started a platform in 2020, and all stores were closed. So it really became about, you know, finding a way to bring that sensorial experience, whether it be through sampling, whether it be through, you know, speaking to the consumer. And now that I have a store, an actual physical footprint, and with the hopes of bringing this experience all over the globe, I'm looking at this, you know, multimodal experience while bringing in the opportunity to do things like live streaming. So you have the founder, you have an influencer actually playing with the product, selling the product at the same time, showing you what it feels like, creating this sensory experience for the user who you ultimately hope to get to come in and experience it themselves in one of your locations. And so for me, it's really exciting, and I love the marriage and the intersection, even though I was super resistant to it in the beginning.
And I think it's a fundamental element. If I think about our business, and we listened before Pradeep explaining to us how our brain works, and sometimes our brain is very easy. So there is like one sign, one sound, one smell that attract yourself to that specific product. We need to consider that as a company and as a business, we want to try to engage multiple consumers, and consumers have different touch points that we need to consider. So this is where I believe it's extremely important to work, and as we try to do every day, with the touches, the materials, the look. We, as a company, we created the Tom Ford eyewear 20 years ago. We celebrate this year 20 years of Tom Ford eyewear. And Tom Ford eyewear, when Mr. Ford went out of Gucci, he had an agreement, he couldn't do fashion anymore. So he decided to do two things, beauty with Estee Lauder and eyewear with Marcolin. And he became, is among the top 5 brands in the world in the eyewear. He became so famous because a very smart person in Italy invented this T in front of the glasses. But on the other side, when we go, especially nowadays, into a retail experience, we have to work on different senses. If I think about certain department stores today, they're struggling on remaining relevant because especially the young generation doesn't find those places where they can have a real good experience for their sense. So I think it's extremely important in business to really consider how you go to the market and how you leverage on all the different senses.
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you. I think this is the advantage of having leaders of the industry here giving unique perspectives on multimodal, multisensory convergence, whether it's technology, whether it's materials, whether it is a beauty product, or whether it's a fashion eyewear. I think engaging all the senses is what makes our industry so special and unique. You rarely look at some of these elements when you move into aerospace or when you move into other types of deep tech. And so I really appreciate the insights and the thoughts. We are running behind, so perhaps 2 questions for the panel. BD. Back there.
Hello. Hi, thank you all for the super insightful panel session. And I would just like to ask every single one of you, what's your take on generative AI technology? It's where the technology is kind of leaning towards deep tech because it's really about really large fundamental machine learning models. But the application of it could be really simple and intuitive. For example, if you have if you see some product online, you can literally generate realistic try-on images of yourself wearing what you're seeing online. And same thing applies to accessories like glasses, like your earrings, jewelries. What's your take on that? On, I guess, product excellence and also the safety compliance challenges brought by technologies like that?
Before you answer, just a request, maybe 2 panel members can take that question.
I take him, okay. So thank you. I think it's very interesting. I think it gives us a lot of opportunity to really speed up sometime the process of potentially developing a product, but also engaging consumers. Of course, after there is one side of this technology that we need, and I believe nobody knows, as I was talking before with Pradeep about Gen AI, and there is also a side that we need to control, but we don't know how to control it today because it's a technology that we are learning and it's extremely powerful. So I'm always open to new tech. I think it's always an opportunity for companies to improve what we are doing and to try to be a better company in the future.
Thank you so much. In a word, I would say Gen AI is inevitable. And like companies that are starting out right now are aware of this and they're taking advantage of it. A lot of the pitches that I've heard over the past 2 days from these companies are about that. I think you said virtual try-ons. That's something that comes to mind for me a lot. If you do not, as a company, create ways to engage with your consumer and win their business very personally, you're not going to succeed. That's it. And AI is a tool to do that. And so, plain and simple.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. This is Chandni Lama. So I own a couple of salons here in Bay Area, and one of the things I really wanted to know from the panelists is, are you guys planning to invest or at least encourage companies to invest in making beauty salons more high tech? Because that's my vision, and I see it has been owned by ethnic groups and more like minorities, and there's no education about technology integrated with those systems. And I actually tried to connect with Jalaj Hora and everybody to see what their take is on this kind of concept, but they did not accept my invitation in LinkedIn. But yeah, I just wanted to know whether, as we're talking about beauty tech, yes, we are making products such as retinol and we're making all these serums, but I think the place where we really need high tech is salons, where like I deal with hundreds and hundreds of women coming to my salon, and we're talking every day about mundane things, but I actually want to talk about beauty and tech in my place, and I want people to come and support me. So what's your take on that?
So is this a plant? So with my co-GP, Lisa, she started Brain Trust Fund, which specifically is aimed at beauty and wellness technology by inclusive founders for specifically that reason, right? So we probably have 3 or 4 founders who are targeting salons to do things like hair analysis that points you to products for hair that is outside of the mean, right? So curly hair, textured hair, whatever your hair needs because of, you're 40 to 50 or you're, in your teen years, right? So it changes all the time. Also, beauty products that are specifically aimed at melanated skin. Regardless of where you are on the melanated skin spectrum, your skin has different needs, right? So, while white skin ages differently than black skin, that doesn't mean like a one-size-fits-all, right? And where that usually happens, as Nyakio will tell you, is in a small third place where you are with people like yourself and trying things on. So most women of color I know came to foundation by buying 5 different colors of foundation in Walgreens and dropping them into a bowl and mixing that. And you could never get it right again, right? So one day you'd be perfect and the next day you didn't. And then somebody said oh, these consumers buy things. Maybe we should make products for them, right? And you see Fenty and you see all these brands that have now 50 shades of foundation, and they understand that though I look very light skinned, my undertone is more pink than yellow. So I think there is absolutely tech coming to the beauty space. It will naturally come to salons because we're not going to start washing our hair online. We wash our hair at home. So, you're going to go to the person who cuts your hair and treats your hair, and that's where the technology needs to live. Yeah.
I'll add one thing there that from my perspective, and so we do almost entirely work in the beauty industry now, with raw materials into formulations for hair, skin color, all the stuff. And my observation has been the best place to launch new technology. It's not easy, but it's coming. The best place to launch new technology is through the pro channel, because it's a place where you can do something different, that you have a professional who can be trained, that can apply something and get the best result from it. And then the consumer sees it and pops, and then they're willing to do it at home themselves later. We launched a new brand. Our brand partner named Goddess Maintenance Company launched a product that features some of our biotech ingredients in the pro channel as the primary launch partner. And I think they're in 120 countries in the first 3 months, blowing out the number of salons they're in. Now, it's their job to do the education, like we just are the dumb scientists who make the polymers. But there's that marriage has to be there to work, but it is far and away the best channel, especially when you get outside of the kind of 50th percentile of where things have been made for the last 75 years, and they're surprisingly narrow in what we applied to.
One more thing, I won't go long. Though I do want to acknowledge that small family-owned minority salons get the least amount of attention and the most amount of appropriation, right? So I do think it is true that the pro channel is great, but that means you are in Vegas at the show, right? You buy enough and you scale. So I do, but the thing I love about how generative AI and AI technology is more accessible, it does mean that you can just set it up by yourself in your salon, right? You don't have to wait to a rep to come to you or you to be big enough or you to be seen. And I think that's what's exciting about it. But I don't want to gloss over the fact that there are communities and salons that, you know, were braiding hair and using human hair and using skin techniques and hair straightening techniques. And other people found them and appropriated them and then made them into big best-selling products, and those salons saw none of that upside. So that is true. I think what new technologies are doing are democratizing that, so you can just do it in your salon.
Thank you so much. And with that, panel, thank you. This has been great. Really appreciate it. And please do stay back and appreciate, encourage, inspire our entrepreneurs who will be pitching next. Thank you.